Hello gorgeous people, how are you all doing today? I hope you are well. I am, but I'm really glad of this sit down. I'm going to have the whole day pretty much sitting down. I will get up and move around and stretch, but generally sitting down because yesterday I had a really long session out trawling for interesting bits and pieces for my shop, books and all the other stuff. And I actually went further afield yesterday, so I was on my feet, sort of slow walking, shopping, rummaging, hunting for about 4 hours, which is great. I'm trying to tell my legs go for longer, as well as needing to find things for the shop. So they are wrecked today, but 4 hours yesterday, I'm really pleased with that. That's great. I've only been managing an hour or two previously, so yay, good. So I had a great time, found loads of great things, a lot of books, always lots of books, but also, I don't know what's wrong with me, I can't resist them, and I must sell them, not keep them. I'll show you a couple of the bits. I've got a bit of an obsession. I love bowls and I love jugs. And I think I love them so much because they can be really pretty or lovely to look at in the kitchen when they're not in use, on the shelves or wherever. But I love them because they're such practical things, jugs. Jugs are brilliant. I can put water in there if I'm needing to carry water somewhere. I can steep petals in there if I'm making a decoction to use as a hair rinse. I can make up stock in a jug. I can use a jug for arranging flowers. It's almost endless, the list. So yeah, I have a bit of an obsession, and I try to keep my own collection minimal. I think I've got about 5 jugs, but they all get lots of use. So these I must sell. This one first of all, this is so cute. Isn't that lovely with that blue? What's it called? The pattern is called Old English Blue bone china. So that's really nice for sort of a breakfast table or a high tea table, what have you. But it would be equally sweet with a little posy of flowers in. But this one, sorry, excuse me. Let me put that one down for a second. This one I really love. Stoneware. It's got a nice wide pouring spout there. I love this because it's obviously handmade. There's that bit where the handle joins the body of the jug. My thumb fits in that perfectly. It almost feels like I'm squashing that clay down. There's just something so beautifully tactile. I love in the glaze. It doesn't pick up too well on camera, that sort of slight splatter to it. And the texture, obviously you can't feel it, but oh, lovely. So as soon as I saw that, I thought, yeah, I've had to give it a really, really good clean up. It's gorgeous again now, but I mean, I would, again, a little posy of flowers or a little bit of cream, again, with your tea table. So lovely. It made me think of the Great Pottery Throwdown as well, which I just keep wanting to put my thumb there. It's perfect for my thumb. Yeah, I've been watching the Great Pottery Throwdown again this year. I just want to keep touching it. Having not watched it for, 2 or 3 seasons. I think I picked it up in the 2nd season. It's when, I've forgotten the name of her now. The presenter was Melanie Sykes. Is that her name? She was still presenting it, and I watched 2 or 3 of them. Then I got a bit bored, so I left it alone. But then this Christmas I watched the celebrity one. Celebrities in inverted commas. Yeah, do we know any of them? But it just reminded me of how joyful the show can be, because those celebs, they were obviously having a whale of a time doing it. Just playing, they were playing again. And I think it was Martin Kemp who was saying, he felt like a kid, and they were all I can't remember exactly what the task was, but I think it was something to do with, was it a physical representation of, I mean, obviously physical, it's pottery, either where they lived or a childhood memory or something. And he was creating his little street with, you know, the pub on the corner, and was the chippy there as well? I can't remember. But he was so immersed in it and having such a lovely time. His joy was infectious. I caught it. I caught his joy. So yes, I've been watching it again, this series, and how many have I seen? I think I've seen 2. There has been a third one, which I will watch on demand at some point. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyable. And I'm just always amazed at the skill of all of the individuals who come along. They've obviously been potting for some time, but yeah, I'm always amazed by that. But what I'm really amazed by is their creativity, because they're having to come up with ideas every week, and they come up with ideas. There was one, they had to make a toy, so it had to be able to be played with, a pottery toy of a Noah's Ark, which you had to be able to open and have, I think they had to make 6 pairs of animals that had to be able to fit inside to pack away when you finished playing. And if someone said to me, make a Noah's Ark with animals, okay, in my head, classic, you know, plank-sided boat. But one guy did it as a sort of a spaceship, sort of. So his looked like it was made of sheets of iron that had been welded and riveted, and it was just great. It was kind of in that sort of 1950s, 1960s sort of rocket type style. So yeah, I'm just bowled over every week by their by their creativity, by their ability to get the task done in the time allowed. Like, I look at these creations and I think, yeah, give me 2 weeks. I'll get back to you. Absolutely joyful. So, right. Today, also, it's just sitting here cooling. I'm having another try. Today, I'm trying the Horlicks, and this one is chocolate Horlicks. So maybe that little bit of chocolate will persuade me I like this better than the Ovaltine. I decided afterwards that I really didn't like the Ovaltine. It's something about the aftertaste. Anyway, yeah. So many of you talked about the fact that I think some of you who are older than me, so we're going back in time a little bit further for you, when you were nurses, talked about having it on the ward at night. On my ward, we weren't allowed drinks, full stop. You were allowed a bottle of water kept in one particular place, and that was it. So there was never any Ovaltine on my ward. And night shifts, there's never any time to sit and drink Ovaltine anyway. But yeah, it seemed to trigger a lot of memories for folk. Oh, and the other thing that I have tried, I've continued with that box, that selection box of teas. I tried the Digest, which spearmint, apple, rooibos and baobab. Didn't like it. I will finish them. I didn't like the Digest. It's the spearmint. Spearmint to me always tastes like chewing gum. Remember, Wrigley's spearmint gum, gum, gum. Stick it up. Yep. Well, you know the rest. Yeah, I spearmint. Yeah, it's just chewing gum. Drinking a cup of chewing gum. Not pleasant. But I will finish them. So I think out of all of them, the sleep one has been really lovely. That's the spiced apple. The face one, glow. I don't know why. The strawberry and cucumber was surprisingly really nice. The detox, quite liked. Digest, no, don't like it at all. And then the defense one, yeah, the defense, it's almost like, you know, when you have your hot honey and lemon, when you're feeling a bit under the weather, it's kind of like that, but with the addition of ginger. So the fact that it had ginger in it took it down a bit for me, because I'm not a fan of ginger, but perfectly palatable, not the Digest. Ah, right, okay, hang on a sec. Let's have a little sniff of this. Do the sniff test first. I don't know, I don't think I'm going to like it. It's got that same sort of smell as Ovaltine. It's the malted wheat smell. I let it cool a bit. It's weird because I used to love malted milk biscuits. Oh, I love them. But otherwise, I think, and malt extract. I love malt extract as well. But that malty drink, the smell, it reminds me when I lived in, I'd gone over the bridge from Fulham. I was just into Wandsworth. There was a brewery. And depending on the day of the week and which way the wind was blowing, you'd get that real malty smell coming from the brewery. And I didn't like it. Shut the windows. Yeah. I'm not going to pass judgment until it's cooled a bit and I can actually drink it properly. Now, since that last video, that's why I'm keeping my water to hand, just in case I don't like it. Since the last video, if you remember, I was mentioning how my PO box, is it broken, what's going on? And the woman I spoke to said, I'll get in touch with them and give them a bit of a kick up the bum. It seems to have worked because just this morning, three cards have arrived, Christmas cards. So I would like to say some thank yous to Miss D for your card, and good luck with your house move when it comes. It's not on the cards for her quite yet, but yeah, it's on the cards, and it'll be a big change for you, won't it? Going from somewhere warm and sunny and positively hot at times to somewhere considerably colder. Brace yourself. Anyway, thank you. I'm going to put them up actually because, yeah, I know it's not Christmas, but I've got nice Christmas cards. The next one, I love this, from Marilyn. She's made it. It's a sort of scrap fabrics. She's made it herself. I love this one. I always go on about not liking yellow, but this is the one and only yellow that I like. This kind of mustard, almost chartreuse. That's lovely. And that particular colour of yellow with pink is great. Never mind that, Vivi. But yeah, I love that. It's all little different scraps of fabrics. Isn't that cute? So thank you, Marilyn. That's really... Where are we? Right at the end of January. A whole month late. Well, actually, it's more than a month late, isn't it? Because these would have arrived for, I don't know, the late teens of December. So a month and 2 weeks late. And then this one from Charlotte. I love this design. Blackbird. Oh, and in the distance, a couple walking their dog. And Charlotte was saying that the artist and printmaker is Rachel Appleby. I'm just reading from the back. The design is inspired by a cold December's day walk through fields of snow. So Charlotte was saying this artist lives near her, so maybe it's a blackbird that Charlotte has seen. I love that. And do you remember, sorry, excuse me, I mentioned that when I move, because I've got lots of really lovely cards like this that are graphic art rather than painterly art. So woodcuts, lino cuts, lino prints, prints rather than brushstrokes. And they're all sort of around sort of natural history, so foxes and hares and things like that. And I was talking about making a little gallery of them down my wall, so because they're such little images, but find little tiny frames for them and have them down my hallway, so I'm close up to them as I'm walking past. I think this one might have to join them, so thank you, Charlotte. But not only, but also, oops, are you going to behave on there? Let's push the candles back a little. Do it. It's Christmas again. I should swap my white candles back to red now, shouldn't I? Thank you, Charlotte. She also sent me a £10 token, and it's one of these that you can use in all sorts of different shops. So I was looking at all the various shops, and there's B&Q, which if you're in the UK, you'll know it's a DIY superstore. I thought, ooh, that might be useful when I move. There's M&S. That's always useful, isn't it? Knickers, knickers and vests. What have we? Others, boots. But then I saw WH Smith and I thought, oh, I think I'm going to use it for WH Smith's. So for those outside the UK, again, I don't think WH Smith's is all over the world, is it? It's an odd little shop, WH Smith's, and it's kind of changed over the years. These days, more often than not, it's at railway stations and airports, and they sell massively overpriced bottles of water and massively overpriced packets of sandwiches, you know, kind of food on the go, crisps and stuff. And newspapers, magazines and books. That's kind of what you see at the railway station versions and the airports. And it makes sense, doesn't it? You're about to get on a train, going on a long journey, you've forgotten to pack any food or anything to read, you pop into Smith's, bottle of water, packet of horrible sarnies, and something from the top 10 bestseller list, because they arrange them as the top, I think they do the top 20 in fairness, and then a few other classics. So if you're not a bestseller type reader, hopefully next door to it there's a few classics. And also in terms of their range of magazines, it's massive. You get any specialisation that's ever produced a magazine, Smith's generally will carry it. That's also how they are on the high street, but on the high street, at least they used to be, and some of the bigger branches still are, they'd have a whole second floor that would be to do with stationery. Oh, be still my beating heart. So everything from bog standard writing paper and envelopes to fancy writing paper and envelopes, even things like old-fashioned photograph albums where you need the photo corners to mount your photos in there. So all the photographic stuff, and then also art supplies. So the one I used to use, they had different papers, all sorts of different brushes, watercolours, acrylics, all manner of things. So not the railway station version of WH Smith's, but a high street version. And I know loads are closing, aren't they? But oh, that's a treasure trove for a stationery addict. So I thought, Charlotte, with your gift, thank you, my love. Look, the practical thing would be probably B&Q to go towards some paint for the new gaff. The treat thing, though, would be to go to Smith's and maybe a new notebook. Some ink maybe, or some really beautiful papers. I don't know. I'll see. I'll let you know. I'll let you know what happens, what I manage to find with my gift token. Let's try another slurp. Still a bit too hot. I don't like it. Hang on. I don't like it. I'm so sorry, Veronique. Yeah, not for me. Is there something like saccharin? I'm trying to read it, but the packet's really small, so the writing is even tinier. Is there something like, there's some kind of sweetener or something in it, I think, that is giving it that, I can't see it. I don't care if it's got all sorts of added vitamins. Look, if you like Horlicks, if you like Ovaltine, enjoy. Apparently I don't. I'm going to stick to my herbal tisanes, but not digest, not spearmint. I've got to have another big slug, excuse me. Oh, it's horrible. Well, there we go. There we go. After years and years and years of never having it, And I think, you know what, I think when I think back now, I think maybe the smell of it when my mum was having it or my nan was having it, Auntie Teapot used to love it. Maybe that smell has just told me no all these years. I'm glad I finally tried it so I can say definitively I do not like Horlicks and I do not like Ovaltine, but thank you, Veronique, for giving me the fun of experimenting. The tea is lovely, thank you. That's rank. Right, random stuff. We're sort of basket of, oh my goodness, I'm already cracking up. Right, basket of randomness. I don't know why this came up. I was thinking the other day about Blue Peter. Oh, Blue Peter. If you are my age and younger, or possibly even, how long had it been around it might have been around for 10 years more than my age. So maybe even if you're into your 60s, you will have grown up with Blue Peter. Okay, if you're outside the UK, Blue Peter is a children's TV programme. And frankly, national treasure. It used to be on Monday and Thursday nights at sort of about 5 o'clock till 5:30, that sort of time. And it's a sort of magazine show for kids, whereby we might have something a bit on gardening. They had a little garden, so we'd go out to the garden, we'd do some gardening together. They might have an item, a science item, you know. I seem to remember they did a piece on, it was as mobile telephone technology was developing. And I think one of them went on the studio roof and the other in the garden. Did it work? I can't remember. But they would do a bit of sciencey stuff as well. Like, you know, here's the inside of a motor car and this is how it works. Lots on animals. Some episodes they would cook something and everything was designed so that it was simple enough for kids to try. And I think the age group, I suppose it was aimed at 6 or 7 years and upwards, right up into your early teens. So there might be some cooking. They were famous for making, there would always be a craft, a make of some description. But famously, the make would be, it would be out of a washing up bottle and some sticky back plastic. There's always a washing up bottle involved. Now, the washing up bottles invariably were fairy washing up liquid. But because it was the BBC, they weren't allowed to advertise. They didn't do any advertising. So you'd have this washing up bottle. In those days, it was white and cylindrical, came to a point with a red lid, if I remember correctly. And then on the front, it said fairy. They would have a big piece of black tape wrapped around where it said fairy, so there was no logo or words showing. So here's our washing up liquid bottle. We all know what it is, it's fairy. So no branded stuff. Also things like an old cornflakes packet, but again, if it was Kellogg's, the Kellogg's bit was blacked out. Or an old egg box. It was amazing how creative we could be. And quite often, it was so sweet. It's so sweet when I think it was innocent. It was so, the whole thing was innocent. There would be, if it was coming up for Mother's Day, they would, because they're talking directly to us kids. The premise as well, there were always three presenters. I think it was always three. And they were usually youngish presenters. The idea being that they were like a big brother or a big sister to us. Sweet. And they had pets. So there were dogs, pet dogs over the years. The most famous two, of course, being Petra and Shep. That's my era. A cat. There was a cat before my time, and I think it was a Siamese cat called Jason. But then in my generation, there were the two fluffy grey ones. Was it Jack and Jill? And a tortoise. So the whole idea being as well that kids who live in high-rise blocks, you know, top floor flat, no pets allowed. If you tune into Blue Peter, it's like they were our pets too. They were the nation's pets. The whole thing was sweet and lovely. So yeah, with the makes, what I was remembering about the makes was in the weeks leading up to Mother's Day, they would say, now we're going to do a project for Mother's Day. So this is the time when you need to ask your mummy and your grandma and your auntie maybe to leave the room. So all the mums would troop out of the room. And then we'd make something really crap out of washing up liquid bottles and bits of old cardboard boxes. But it's the thought that counts, isn't it? And then it's like, here you are on Mother's Day. I made this desk organiser tidy for you. Yeah, very sweet. Sorry, excuse me. They did, though, they famously made Tracy Island from what's it called? What were those puppets called? Thunderbirds. How could that have gone from my brain? So yeah, a lovely, wholesome, real mixed bag of fun for young people, kids. But what I was remembering specifically the other day was the appeals they did each year. Sorry, excuse me. So there would be an appeal. I want to swap that with my Horlicks. There we go. So the appeal would be a charity appeal, and quite often it would be for, guide dogs for the blind. So raise money, and if we raise enough money, that will sponsor, 4 puppies through training to become guide dogs. So they were always really great causes we're saving for. But it was what we saved and what we sent in to the show. And I was listening to something the other night and it reminded me of it. Milk bottle tops. I guess, were they partly aluminium milk bottle tops? But yeah, we would wash the top of it so there's no milk or cream left on it, flatten them and send off all our milk bottle tops to Blue Peter. We were basically doing recycling. And, once upon a time, recycling now is widespread in terms of curbside recycling, in terms of, we get our recycling done from our home. Once upon a time, we used to have to take it somewhere. And once upon a time, you could collect cans, as Judge Judy is always saying, get a job, collect cans. You could collect all these aluminium cans and then sell them at a recycling centre. Can't do that anymore because they just get, it's given as part of the local refuse collection. But anyway, I think that's what Blue Peter, essentially that's what they were doing. So I remember the milk bottle tops one. I also remember the, what would they have called it? Fizzy drinks ring pulls. In the days when it was the proper ring pull, the whole thing pulled off. Remember, almost like a sort of a curled tongue. So you'd have the ring and then the tongue and it snap off. So send in your ring pulls. Again, everything had to be flattened. So that was one appeal. Oh, and I think one year, the appeal might have been for the RNLI, for a new lifeboat. I'm sure there must be a Blue Peter lifeboat out there somewhere. I need to go and get my lifeboat tea towel, don't I? It's got all the lifeboats for the whole country. Please remind me, if one of you remembers, I would say there's at least one lifeboat that's been sponsored by Blue Peter. Where is it? And is it called the Blue Peter? So milk bottle tops, ring pulls, stamps. Do you remember sending stamps in? And it was quite clever because everything we ever sent in was quite flat stuff. So even if you only had a few, you could put them in an envelope. It's not going to cost too much money. Stamps. It was probably free post as well, wasn't it? Free post. BBC TV Centre. But also one year, I'm sure I remember this. Correct me if I'm wrong though. Keys. As in, like door keys. Random keys. Don't we all have, in a drawer somewhere, the junk drawer, don't we all have 1 or 2 keys that are for we know not what? What is this key for? Where's it from? It's like, all the socks that go missing in the washing machine. I think those socks that go missing in the washing machine get reincarnated as a random key in the junk drawer. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe we need to put our random keys back into the washing machine to turn them back into socks. Please do not try that. You will ruin your machine. But yeah, the kind of the odd unknown key in the bottom of the junk drawer, send them to Blue Peter and we can turn it into a guide dog. Sweet. I think Blue Peter is still on, but you know, TV's changed quite a lot in the last few years, hasn't it, with all the whole there are so many channels and they're all over the place. But I think now I know that all the BBC kids stuff is on its own separate channel called CBeebies. I only know that from memories of it being on in every room on the ward when I was working. But I think Blue Peter is still a thing. Bless. Oh, keeping an eye on the time. And at the other extreme of age groups, I saw an ad and I thought, I'm going to have a little watch of this one evening. Because again, it's one that I can watch on demand. Law and Order. You have to be careful how you say it so you don't say Law and Order. Law and Order. Law and Order. I used to enjoy it way back in the 90s and the noughties. I always enjoyed the sort of the courtroom stuff and the ethical debates it would throw up. So not even necessarily the courtroom itself, but when the district attorney and the ADA and all those people are together in their office and they're, you know, it's a really tricky issue. It's like, yes, what he's done isn't ethical, but it's not illegal. That sort of thing. Or the ethics of, yeah, he's done something completely illegal, but hey, wouldn't we all in that situation? So I love that ethical debate around it. Haven't watched it for ages and saw a trailer that, you know, it's come back because I think it finished in about 2010. It all ended. But it's back. I thought, oh my goodness, this is amazing. So I had a little look. Just very briefly. And what astonished me is, I'll have to read the name because I couldn't remember off the top of my head. There's one of the characters was the district attorney. And in this new version, he's gone up a notch. I know why. It's because of his stamina for filming. So he's kind of like the overseer of the DAs. It means his part is smaller now than it used. He was kind of like the star part. I'm talking about the actor called Sam Waterston, and the character was Jack McCoy. Any of you watched it, you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. And I saw that he's still in it, and I thought, how fantastic, because I had to look this up. He's either 84 or 85 now. And I just thought how wonderful to be in a job, if you love it. Obviously, there are some of us who can't wait to retire because we hate our jobs. But if you do a job that you love and you're physically able to do it still, how wonderful to be able to keep working to that age. I just thought, good on you. So like I say, I think his part has shrunk considerably. So he's not going to have all those courtroom scenes. But I would have thought in terms of energy levels, yeah, it's like, yeah, I can manage a couple of days filming a week. Go on, bung me in there somewhere. And he's in it. I just thought it was brilliant. It tickled me. And, you know, it's like David Attenborough, isn't it? He's, you know, he no longer goes out and about with the cameras. He stays in a studio and does voiceovers. But how great that, I mean, what is he now? He's got to be 90... 98, 99, 97, it's got to be his late 90s. And he's still working and still bringing so many of us so much joy with his work. That's amazing. What an amazing achievement in life. Brilliant. Now, on to something, quick, hurry up. The last but one or whatever video, if you remember I was saying about new habits. It's last but 3 now, I think, isn't it? But I was talking about new habits and having my couple of hours in the evening to just completely turn everything off and just relax. Either watch a bit of telly on demand, or watch a DVD, etc, etc. So when I did my big trawl yesterday, I found a charity shop that had DVDs much cheaper than my neck of the woods here. They were £1 each, or 3 for £2. Couldn't believe it. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to give to charity. You know, it'd be nice to give to. Oh, so I've got a wriggle. I've got ants in my pants. I would like to be able to give £2 or £3 to charity every week. So why not do it via DVDs? And I picked up, well, all 3 of them I've seen before, but not for years. And one of them in particular I'm delighted with, because I have kept an eye out for it over the years and I've never seen it in a charity shop. So let me share with you quickly what I've picked up, got for myself. Frida, oh hang on, we have light issues. Frida with, oh what's her name? I've totally forgotten her name. Salma Hayek, of course, playing Frida Kahlo. Oh, can't wait. And is it Alfred Molina? Alfred Molina plays Diego Rivera. Love it. Do you remember I used to have the poster of it in the kitchen? I've kept that poster. It's rolled up, waiting for it. If I do it that way, that's better for the light, isn't it? Yeah, so I haven't seen, I can't remember when the film came out. It's 20 plus years ago. Really looking forward to watching that. Then, well, there's one of them, I watched it last night, so I'll come on to that last. This is the one that I haven't seen. I've never seen it in a charity shop. And I did a little, well, I was going to say I squealed. I squealed out loud when I saw it. This is, oh gosh, when was it I made a note? This is a film from 2003. I went to the pictures to see it. I think it was at the Curzon Mayfair, because the Curzon Mayfair was really good at showing kind of foreign films, art house films, and indie stuff. It is Belleville Rendezvous. Belleville Rendezvous. It's an animation. It's, oh gosh, it's wonderful. It's about a young lad. I won't say too much, but he's doing the Tour de France and he gets kidnapped by the mafia. It's brilliant. Look, there's a little picture of them in the middle of the race. And this dog's such a character, barking at the metro trains. Yeah, it's an absolute joy. I love animations. So when I saw it, like I said, I squealed with delight. I'll get to see it again for the first time in 20 odd years. I can't wait. It's not quite going to cover my 2 hours of relaxation. It's only an hour and a quarter, but bring it on. That might be this weekend, actually. Chuffed. And then another one from, this goes even further back in time. This is 1994 I saw this. And this one I saw at the Odeon, Kensington, with a really, really good friend of mine. And the pair of us cried our eyes out. Yeah, it's kind of a slightly sad ending, but it's sad for, I'll explain why in a second. What's the film, Vivi? It is, there we go with the light, Il Postino, the postman. It's a really, so I watched it last night, as I said. It's such a beautiful film. Very briefly and simply, the storyline is Pablo Neruda is exiled from Chile. He's been exiled from Chile, and he ends up, it's kind of fictionalised, on this little island off, it must be off Naples. It's Italian. It's a little tiny island. It's set in the early 50s, 51, I think. And this little island, it could be 1851. They don't have running water, for example. Virtually everybody on the island is illiterate. So here's this poet in exile, and our young man who really doesn't want to be a fisherman. Everyone's a fisherman. He gets seasick. He gets a job as the postman to go up the mountain to take the post to Pablo Neruda, who is the famous love poet. it's it's a story of their friendship, and it's so simple that our postman, he can read and he can write. One of the few on the island who can. And he's never experienced poetry before, but he gets interested in it because when Neruda arrives on the island, everyone's like, oh, you know, all the women are after him because he's a poet, because he writes love poems. And so our guy wants to woo one of the girls on the island. He's like, tell me about how, you know, how do you get a woman through poetry? And so this really charming, gentle, simple little friendship begins. You know, he cycles up with the post, and he's utterly guileless. And he's sort of nervous. He's sort of, you know, why do poems make women love you? And eventually he sort of, our poet opens up this world of poetry to him, and you know, the world of language, the world of seeing things and metaphors. They talk about metaphors. What is a metaphor? How do you find metaphors? How do you make them? It's gorgeous. I won't say any more than that. It's well worth a watch. This friendship between them is such it's an incredibly gentle, beautiful thing. The whole film is gentle and beautiful. It's a gorgeous setting, of course, and the Mediterranean sunshine. There is a kind of a jolt of kind of quite a shocking truth, reality right at the end. And that's kind of the sad bit. But this will make me cry talking about it. The reason it's so sad is because Massimo Troisi, who plays, there he is, there's our postman, who plays Il Postino. Sorry, I should have said, it is in Italian, but there are subtitles. Give it a go anyway, even if you think you don't like subtitles, because I think it's like I was saying with the Shakespeare the other day, when you've got such, my eyes are damp, honestly, when you've got such great actors, it's like you don't need the subtitles, you understand what's going on. But yeah, so Massimo is the actor's name, and right at the end of the film, as the credits start to go up, it's so sweet, it just says, what does it say? To our dear friend Massimo. Because all the way through filming he was ill. He knew he was ill. He was waiting to have heart surgery. They did the filming anyway. The day after the last frame had been shot, he had a massive heart attack and died. So he is no more. So you'll understand what my dampness is about if you ever watch the film. It's so beautiful. And, you know, just a minute ago I was saying about, say, David Attenborough being in his late 90s. How much longer will he go on? I don't know. But what an amazing legacy he leaves behind when he does go. All of these, you know, he brought the natural history documentary into our living room, didn't he? David Attenborough is responsible for all of us knowing about mountain gorillas and sloths and what goes on deep in the ocean. So what a great legacy. And for, you know, Massimo Troisi, what an amazing legacy Il Postino is. It is a really, I'm going to blow, I'm turning into Keith from the Pottery Throwdown. It is such a beautiful film. It's the simplicity of just a genuine friendship. The joy of sharing one's passion, in Neruda's case, the joy of sharing poetry and words, and the joy for the other guy of learning about it and being able to put some of it into practice. It's truly bellissima. Gordon Bennett. Well, I think on that damp-eyed note, I better leave it for today. So what have we learnt today? We've learnt that Il Postino makes Vivi cry even talking about it the next day, and that she doesn't like Horlicks. There we go. All right, lovelies. Have fun entertaining yourselves and finding some, you know, some old loves. I mean, that's 94, that's 30, you know, it's 31 years ago. Gosh, I was in my early 20s when I watched that. That's mad to think, isn't it? And the other two, they're both previously watched and loved, but not for a long, long time. So I can't wait to get stuck into them too. Right, I'm going to go because I need to have a cry. Honestly, that's ridiculous, isn't it? All right, lovelies, until the next one, please look after yourselves. Yeah, and like I said, have fun entertaining yourselves. Until then, a weepy cheerio.